This is bullshit. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so I'm here with my friend Joseph, who's never been in the videos before, but he's my buddy, and we talk about movies a lot at work. So I figured he needed to be in a video, and we saw Ant-Man together, and that was total bullshit. So we
It wasn't bullshit. It was just shit.
Okay, so we saw The Flash, the newest DC movie, and the last one that matters, I guess, until Blue Beetle. Anyways, so Flash just came out, and it's been pretty hyped up. Everybody's talking about how it's the greatest comic book movie ever. It's like the best thing ever. Tom Cruise loves it, all this. And
It's not.
it's not the greatest comic book movie ever. It's not even the greatest comic book movie to come out this year. But it is a pretty... I'll say right now, I don't think this is like a great movie. I don't even know if I'd call it like good, but I like this movie a lot. I think it's pretty fun. What do you think?
Compared to DC's prior work,
Yes.
this is on the good side.
Yeah, it's definitely on the higher end of DCU stuff. It's probably, I like it probably a little more than Aquaman, I guess. Which is, yeah, the scaling system of the DCU is kind of shitty, but anyways. So I've never liked Ezra Miller as the Flash, to be honest. I've always thought that this Barry Allen's fucking annoying. Like, I didn't like him in the Snyder Cut. Like, everybody was like, he was the best part of the movie. And I'm like, I mean, he's fucking annoying, but he's the only, like, character with any, like, personality. And then the Snyder Cut, I did like that scene where he saves Iris West, but other than that, I thought he was just still annoying. But in this movie, let's put Ezra Miller as a person aside. I thought Ezra Miller did a pretty good job in this movie, surprisingly. And they play two roles. And it was pretty... I was actually like... I kind of forgot halfway through, like, oh, this is the same actor playing these two characters, which is pretty impressive. And the effect's pretty impressive, too. But, yeah. What do you think of Ezra Miller?
Are we going spoilers, or are we saving that later?
We'll give our general thoughts first, and then we'll go into spoilers. Like, oh, we'll let you know when we go into spoilers.
General thoughts?
Yeah.
Ezra Miller's personal shit aside, terrorizing the world.
The real life Reverse Flash.
He's a pretty good actor. He does a pretty good job in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he does play two roles of Barry Allen. I will say the main role is more like Snyder Cut, and the other role of Barry is more wacky, more annoying, is like the Joss Whedon.
Yeah, but I actually thought that worked. I actually thought it was a pretty smart idea to have Barry Allen like talk to himself, because it finally makes his character realize, like, wow, I'm fucking annoying, you know?
It creates a good dynamic because they play off each other.
Yeah.
He sees himself like, oh wow, because usually the Flash in the Justice League is the silly one out of the group compared to Batman, Superman. So that was good.
Yeah, I always thought this Barry Allen, one of the reasons I didn't like him was because I always felt like he acted more like Wally West. And I was like, well, then just call him Wally West. Yeah. Like, why are you calling him Barry Allen? But I think in this movie, I thought that the character had a good arc, and I thought Ezra Miller brought a lot of charisma and heart to the role. And I like that. And I like the arc that Barry Allen goes on through this movie. It's pretty interesting. And without getting into spoilers, I think Michael Keaton's pretty good in this movie. He's definitely, like, he probably doesn't need to be in the movie. He's not, like, essential. But I thought he added, like, he was a nice flavoring to the movie, you know? I thought he added a lot. And he still looks great in the Batsuit.
When you laugh at that one part where he still looked up.
Yeah, he still can't, like, move his head. He has to, like, move like a weirdo. But yeah, I love Michael Keaton. Bruce Wayne has always been a weirdo, and I'm glad they kept that in this movie.
He's always exactly the same.
Yeah, you know, it makes sense for this character to end up this way, I thought. What do you think of Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
He wasn't in it as much as they advertise, which, I mean, that's okay. I feel like they advertise him more because of the whole Ezra situation, so he has to do a lot of...
Go see the new Batman movie, guys.
Heavy lifting in terms of the advertising.
Yeah.
But I think he did good. I mean, I would think his Bruce Wayne, that's what I expect to happen to his character leaving off from the first two movies that we saw him in.
Mm-hmm.
It was a shame. Spoiler. I mean, Alfred's dead,
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because Mike Keaton's like 70-something.
Yeah, I was like, if Alfred's still alive, that'd be the craziest shit.
But I did like his role. He did fill in that role for the Flashpoint storyline of being that Batman that drives this world.
Thomas Wayne Batman.
Would I like to see Thomas Wayne instead of Michael Keaton's Batman? Maybe, but the fan service was there in terms of that Batman. If you like this Batman, you'll like this movie.
Yeah, it was cool how they played the Danny Elfman theme a few times during the movie. And the other big standout side character in this movie is Supergirl, and I was actually kind of disappointed in that. She was barely in it. No spoilers, but she's not in it much, and she doesn't really have much character. It felt to me like she was in it for the same reason that like Spider-Man was in Civil War. It's like, oh, here's who this character is, so maybe we'll see her in future stuff. I will say, James Gunn's making a Supergirl movie. I hope they keep this actress, because I thought she did good. I thought she looked the part. It's definitely different. I like the Supergirl character a lot, but they definitely changed her character. But I have no issue with that, because it makes sense for this character to be this way, considering what she's been through.
Yeah. I would agree on it. She felt like she resembled some of Henry Cavill's Superman. Like I'm like, okay, I can buy them as cousins from the same family.
Yeah, they even look like they could be cousins.
And I liked her stance. Her action scenes were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like I liked everything that she did in this movie, but it just wasn't enough. Like I wanted more of her, and I didn't get that.
Yeah, she kind of shows up like way late into the movie, and she doesn't have really an arc or anything like that. But it's not her movie. It's fine. But
she's there to fill in the Superman role.
Yeah, she's there to do cool stuff. She's there to punch.
Basically.
Zod is in there just to really just having a threat to go up against. He doesn't have like an arc or anything. I like how they. Oh boy, I can't say that without spoiling. Oops. Okay. Is there anything else to talk about without getting into spoilers?
Like Ben Affleck's Batman. I did not like. Okay. You want to get to the main complaint, or you want to save that for later? Okay, I like Batman. I like Ben Affleck's Batman. This is the last time we'll be seeing him, which is sad. But the scenes, most of his scenes, you did see in the trailer. There was nothing very more to add on to that. So there are some more cameos of other members,
which are awkward.
We'll get into that later.
We'll get into that.
But my final thoughts on this movie would probably be a solid 6.5, maybe a 7 out of 10.
So you don't think it's the greatest comic book movie of all time?
No.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
It's a fun watch. It's a good watch. Especially if you're a DC fan. You'll enjoy this movie more than anything.
Yeah.
But it's not a must-see, because everything's going to get rebooted anyway. So it's not a must-see, but I had a good time watching it.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I think it's a really fun movie. I think it's funny. It's paced okay. There were some issues. I thought it kind of sagged a little bit in the middle, but I mostly enjoyed this movie. I had fun with it. I was always like into it. I just don't think that like writing wise and some things filmmaking wise are just on the level that they should be. So I can't say that this is like a great movie, but I did have fun watching it, and I guess for me personally, I enjoyed the movie a lot, but I guess it'd be hard to recommend because like I don't know, like I guess this movie is made more for DC fans than like general audiences who just want to see a superhero movie, But I don't know. I would probably give this movie like probably a 7 out of 10, and I'm probably being generous with that because there are a lot of things wrong with this movie. It's got so many issues, but I had a good enough time to where I said I'm glad I saw it.
I'll say this, with all the problems that went behind the scenes of this movie, all the years it got pushed back with all the directors attached, the way it turned out, I am pleasantly surprised it was as good as it did, because otherwise this would have been a shit show that should have been canceled and thrown in the can.
Yeah,
but I can see why they wanted to release this out in theaters.
I was gonna say, like, do you think like DC like saw this movie and they're like, we have to release this shit, Like Batgirl, they were like, no, fuck that. Which, even if Batgirl was like the worst movie ever made, I still kind of wanted to see it, But this, I'm like, I guess it must be really important if they're like Ezra, if all the Ezra Miller shit, they're like, no, we have to release this movie. I was like, all right.
I mean, this was better than the last two movies. I'll say that. Black Adam, Shazam.
Yeah, I like this more than both of those. Black Adam, I wanted to leave the whole time. I was like, just shut the fuck up. And then Shazam was just a generic superhero movie that didn't bring anything new to the table. With this, it's not reinventing the wheel of super. It's not a game changer like something like Spider-Verse.
Right.
But for what it is, it gives you everything you want.
Which in a weird way, this has like some similarities to Spider-Verse in terms of plot.
So with that, we're gonna get into spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie or you just don't give a fuck, just stay here. All right. So first things first.
What the fuck was up with that CGI?
Jesus, man, that was fucked. Like, Injustice looks better than this shit. Like, every time Barry goes back in time to like, and there's this like big sphere, all this shit. It was honestly kind of uncomfortable. Like, I was like,
what the fuck am I watching?
Like, there's this like emotional scene where he goes back in time and he sees his mom throughout the shit, and I'm like, I should be feeling emotional, but this is just fucking disgusting.
like that scene, that CGI in that scene is equivalent to MODOK. Like the faces don't look right and they don't look good.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, that's the best you guys can do.
At least with MODOK, you get the sense that they were trying to make him look like ugly. Here, it's like it's trying to be taken seriously, and you're like, oh, I can't get into the emotion of certain scenes. I will say there is a lot of CG in this movie or I guess not CG, like effects that are good. Like I said, the 2 Barry effects is really well done. Supergirl flying looks fine. It's just the time travel shit that just looks weird. It just looks ugh. And then we're into spoilers, but like that big scene at the end where they show just a bunch of cameos. I didn't really like that scene. Like, I understood what they were going for, but it just kind of took me out of the movie. Like, I just didn't.
Okay, so let's go through the cameos.
Yeah.
The first cameo, well, I can't say Ben Affleck's a cameo. We know he's in the movie, but the first cameo was Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot makes an appearance.
They play that theme song,
and she's there for about like 30 seconds. Helps them save whatever the hell they're saving.
Some random guy
just takes off.
Yep. She's like, "Hi, I'm in the movie." And just fucks off.
And
we talked about Michael Keaton. And then
Supergirl, General Zod.
Yeah.
General Zod and Feora both come back in this movie.
Yeah. I was surprised to see Feora.
They're, I want to say that they're for a paycheck, but the story doesn't really demand anything much from them except being just a villain.
Yeah, they just needed someone to have them fight. Really.
That drives the story, honestly.
It could have been like Brainiac.
Could have brought like Doomsday or some shit.
Yeah, and it would have been any different.
It wouldn't have.
There's one scene in this movie that I thought was like a little weird, where like Barry's like, "Oh yeah, when that Man of Steel fight was happening, I was there," and I'm like, and then after that, I was like, "What was the point of that scene? Like, they didn't add anything. Like, it felt like a deleted scene. It's just, I don't know. It just felt kind of pointless to me. Like, afterwards, I was like, all right.
If anything, it made me question because, so first off, Barry loses his powers after going back in time when the other Barry gets struck and gains his powers. So, and I was like, and then the next day Zod shows up. So I was like, telling Brendan, I'm like, in the original timeline, did Barry get his powers the day right before Zod came and invaded Earth? I'm like, that's a little weird that he didn't do anything. And then they explained right later that he tried to with the shitty suit.
Imagine that crazy thing happens to you, and the very next day, like, an alien Hitler is invading the Earth. Like, that's a crazy weekend.
But as I thought about it more, it would make sense, because in BVS, when they showed the clips, he did have his powers in that grocery store.
And he had the long hair.
Exactly. So it wouldn't make sense at that point. But I just thought it was, like, weird that, like, a day before an invasion, he gets his powers.
That is pretty crazy. Yeah, what else? So we're talking about cameos, right? The next cameo after that was, I think after that is just the scene at the end of all these. Right? So first off, you see Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater from that shitty Supergirl movie that I completely forgot existed. I watched that movie like 10 years ago, and I was like, holy shit! I didn't know movies could be bad. Yeah, that scene was just like.
It felt a little disrespectful in a way.
Well, Helen Slater's still alive, so that's fine if they got her permission. But Christopher Reeve, yeah, I mean, I hope to God they at least maybe got his family's permission or something.
Because you brought this up earlier, like, they just could have got Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
Which also makes sense, because he technically is playing the same role of Christopher Reeve. He's just continuing that, technically. Mm-hmm. So they just could have got him instead.
I guess it would have looked weird to have him next to Helen Slater, because like he would have looked all modern. She would have like,
or he could have been the Kingdom Come one from Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
And then we also get the stupid cameo, which, like you said, not many people are gonna get, is Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that was stupid.
As
Like,
Superman.
like I'm like, who is this for? Like it's like, is this meant to make the audience cheer? It's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm aware that Nicolas Cage was supposed to be Superman in a movie.
Some kid's like, where the fuck is Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, I get it. It's supposed to be like, yeah, Nicolas Cage Superman, but it's like, I remember him from that movie that was never made, but it's like, I never saw that movie, so why should I give a fuck? You know what I mean? I don't care.
It did get made in a different universe, Brandon.
Oh, so in that universe, I should care?
Exactly.
Oh, I was just like, I guess that's cool, but like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
the most surprise cameo we did not get was Grant Gustin as Flash. I feel like that's just a no-brainer to include him.
It's so weird he wasn't in it.
We did get another Flash, which was Jay Garrick.
Yeah.
For like a split second.
That was cool.
And we got, was that Adam West's?
Yeah, it was.
Batman?
And you
like
could hear
voice?
Cesar Romero's laugh.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
But most of the cameos are based on prior Batman and Superman. Nothing else of any other characters. Like, they didn't even do like Linda Carter, Wonder Woman.
Oh no, that would have been cool. They didn't do like
the 90s Flash.
Yeah, John Wesley Shipp Flash.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
They should have done Steel. That would have been awesome. Shaquille O'Neal. Why wasn't he in the shit? Come on.
That would have been horrible. At that point, that would have took me out of the movie. I'm like, all right, you guys jumped the fucking shark.
If we have Nicolas Cage Superman from a movie that doesn't even fucking exist.
Yeah, but that movie was bad, Brandon. Fucking Steel was bad.
So was fucking Batman and Okay, we'll get to that one later.
Oh yeah, talk about the last cameo.
Where was Keanu Reeves as Constantine? This is bullshit. All right, was there anything else?
I forget.
Yeah, was there anything else we missed?
In terms of cameos?
Yeah.
Well, just the last one.
Okay, so at the end, yeah. So at the end, Bruce
Willis. Bruce Willis came out as Bruce Wayne.
He came out of retirement for the Flash. No, okay, so Barry Allen at the end.
It's a crossover with Glass.
Oh shit! Samuel L. Jackson's in a wheelchair. Okay, so before we get to that scene, I want to talk about this one scene where Barry Allen goes back to the grocery store and he puts the tomatoes back. And I actually like that scene. I actually thought that was a well done scene. They play this weird like Spanish music, and it kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Like Barry Allen's not Spanish.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this
He's
universe,
Allen.
Barry Allen. This Mexican woman, her name is Nora Allen. That's the fucking whitest name you could give this fucking Hispanic woman.
So I was like, that came out of nowhere.
Nora Allen. Come on. Okay, but anyways, so like, I like that scene. I thought it was well done. I thought it was neat. You know, I don't know. I thought the scene was. I'm like, oh, that's a nice little wrap up to his character arc.
It hit the emotional punch it needed to.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah. It was well done. I like that scene. I think Barry Allen's whole arc in this movie is pretty well done. You know, I think it's, and you know, the chemistry between him and himself is really good. They're really funny. I actually laughed a lot in this movie. But anyways, so at the end of the movie, he saves his dad by putting the tomatoes up. But I guess by doing that, he fucked up the multiverse again. And Bruce Wayne, he calls Bruce Wayne and he's like, I'm pulling up right now. And then in my head, I was like, oh, it's going to be Michael Keaton to show that like the universe is still fucked. And then George Clooney pops out and I was like, what the hell? We talked about this yesterday.
Fresh off vacation.
Yeah. oh shit. Yeah, there's no way he and Ezra Miller met.
No.
That was clearly a green screen scene. We talked about this. We were both like, there's no fucking way George Clooney's in this movie because he like
that seemed like such a last minute.
Yeah.
Just shoehorning that in.
I think it was meant to be a joke. But I liked it. I was like, you know what? I like that this movie did something like this. It was unexpected, and I like it.
Michael Keaton would have made sense because, like you said, they did have Batgirl planned. He was supposed to be training Batgirl. Yeah. So it wouldn't make sense that it would have been Michael Keaton.
If Batgirl was still coming out, it probably would have been.
Because Michael Keaton just, like, abruptly just died, and then there was, like, no real, like, resolution to that.
Yeah.
So it seemed like, oh, well, that's why it just ended like that, because they knew he was coming back at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, another major plot point that just got like totally not even mentioned, not cared for, and like all of which is important to Flash's history.
Oh yeah.
So, those who have seen Flashpoint or just know common knowledge of the Flash, his mom dies.
Yes.
And Reverse Flash is the one that kills her.
Reverse Flash is such an asshole. His whole life is literally just making Barry Allen have a shitty day. Like that's literally his whole purpose.
Not even in this movie or mentioned.
Nope.
They don't even mention why she died.
Nope.
No reason. She just stabbed on the floor, and her dad found her. That's it.
Not once does Barry say, "I wonder who killed my
Yes,
mom."
or why.
He just says, "My mom died." It's like, she could have died of like anything, and it would have mattered just as much. And Reverse Flash is a huge part of Flashpoint, so it's weird that he's not in it at all. There is like a future Barry who I guess is meant to be like Savitar, kind of.
So, towards the end battle, those who have seen it, future Barry or the past Barry keeps trying back and back in time to try to correct.
Yeah.
So Supergirl and Batman.
But she just keeps dying.
So he becomes this entity of future Barry, where he's all fucked up and black and shit, and he ends up killing himself.
So he erases himself from
exactly.
the timeline.
That had no emotional weight to it.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? The character didn't even need to be in the fucking movie. That was weird.
So I'll say the ending was probably the weakest part of this movie.
Yeah,
It started out strong with the action scene.
Yeah.
Just right in with Barry having to help Batman solve whatever crime, and it was pretty funny at the coffee shop. Like this movie has some good humor,
especially in the beginning. I think the opening scene of this movie like sets the tone pretty well.
It felt like a Justice League episode.
Although
like
those babies that he saved looked fucking disgusting. They looked like aliens. I was like, oh,
like I said,
are they worth saving? I mean,
the action was good, but it felt so cartoonish. You could tell nothing looked real. It was all CGI.
And I don't understand why it looks this way, because this movie was delayed like how many times? You didn't have time to make the CG look good? Come on.
My only thing would be like during COVID, like they had to rush it. They didn't have time to perfect it.
I guess.
I mean, I would take Zack Snyder CGI. If Zack Snyder did the action scenes in this movie, it would have looked way better. I mean, it would have been a lot of slow-mo, but it would have looked way better.
I was going to say that, and the camera wouldn't fucking stay still. You can't see shit. All these crash zooms and shit. Man. Yeah, this movie, I will say, like, the opening, maybe not the opening, but like the first, like, maybe like 15, 20 minutes where it's just kind of showing Barry Allen's life. A part of me was like, I'm kind of interested in seeing that movie. Just Barry Allen, just like, with his supporting characters, with Iris and all these people and shit. I was like, I kind of hope, I don't know.
Because that's really the only chance we get to see him. Because in the Justice League, he's just an annoying character that just shown here that runs weird.
What is brunch?
Exactly. It's like, we don't even know this character. Why should we care for him? In the Snyder Cut, we have more. She gets to know him.
Yeah. And
more of a chance to like see what he can do.
Yeah.
But I told Brandon, like, so which canon is this following? Is it following Justice League or is it following the Snyder Cut?
Yeah, that's true. Because in this one, they acknowledge that he did save Iris in that scene.
But that's not in Justice League.
Yeah. But also,
in this movie, he discovers go back in time.
Yeah.
He had discovered that in the Snyder Cut when he saved everyone.
And it looked different.
Exactly. It's not, he just ran back in time. This one, it's a weird bubble and he's running backwards and he can see every memory around him and run towards it to which one he wants to go.
I guess what we should assume is the Justice League is canon and the Iris scene happened just off screen. I guess that's what we're meant to assume.
Because she's not in the movie, right? I don't remember her being at all in the movie. Because that whole scene of him saving her got cut out.
I think I remember her having. Maybe she probably does. I haven't seen that movie I haven't seen the Justice League since it came out.
Yeah, I don't want to see it.
Fuck that. But I think I remember her having like a cameo or something. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. I'll look it up afterwards if I care. I don't know. Yeah, I just. Speaking of which, this is the first time I've seen Ezra Miller run as the Flash, where I thought to myself, like, oh, that's how a normal person runs.
Like a normal person.
In the other one, he runs like a fucking
like he's ice skating or some shit.
Yeah, what the fuck is this? Like, who runs like that? They even make a joke about it in the movie, which I thought was humorous. That's fun.
This movie has some good humor, which DC doesn't really rely on as much, but this movie had good humor, and most of it was based off Ezra's performance with himself, surprisingly.
Yeah, hey man, hot take incoming. I'm gonna lose all credibility for this shit, but I laughed at this movie more than I laughed at Guardians 3. Now I will say Guardians 3 is a much better movie than this, but I think this movie's funnier. Maybe not even funnier. Maybe I'm just a fucking child when it comes to humor, but I don't know. I thought this movie was funny.
I agree with that.
Really?
But Guardians had way better emotional punch.
Guardians 3 is a better movie than this.
Yes, for sure.
Better CGI, better everything.
I mean, I care about a fucking raccoon a bunny. You know, I care about animals in that movie. This movie, I don't give a shit about the other Barry.
Yeah. Yeah, I said this before, but I didn't cry at Guardians 3, and I feel like such an asshole about it. I'm like, I'm just a cold-hearted piece of shit, and I love animals, but I'm sorry.
Heartless over here.
Hey, I didn't cry at this movie either, so like, I don't.
No.
But yeah.
The emotional punch in the movie is not that much of a...
No, I mean I cared, but I wasn't like crying or anything. You know, I was like, oh, that's nice.
It had enough emotional punch to understand the character's motives to want to do this, because obviously it's a stupid thing to go back in time for. Because like as Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne's like, you can destroy everything literally, like he said in the trailer.
Yeah.
And which he did, but that's classic Barry that has to discover. Even in the Flash TV show when they do the Flashpoint storyline.
Yeah. This is off topic, but there's a scene where Batman says, "Don't let your tragedy define you," and I'm like, of all people to say that, of all fucking people, come on, Batman, really?
You fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, no, but yeah. So one thing, if you're gonna see this movie because you think it's gonna bridge the gap between the DCEU and James Gunn's DCU, I don't think it does. I think they're just gonna like hard reset. I don't think they're gonna give a reason as to like they just don't do that.
After George Clooney cameo, I'm like, okay, there's no way they fucking continue this.
Because they're making a Batman movie. It has to be a different. There's no way they're gonna have fucking 59-year-old George Clooney as Batman with like a 14-year-old Damian Wayne. But did you hear that the director of this movie is directing that movie?
Yes.
Which I think is...
It's Batman and the Bold, no? Or some Brave and the Bold?
Yeah, Brave and the Bold. And it's about Damian Wayne, which is great. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin.
Because we hardly ever get a Robin in a fucking Batman movie.
Nope.
When was the last time we got one? It was shitty. Batman and Robin.
I want a car. Chicks dig the car. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, bro, he made laundry look cool.
We got Joseph Gordon-Levitt for like 2 seconds. He's gonna be Robin.
That pathetic one.
That was funny.
Who the fuck names their kid Robin?
Oh yeah, I forgot his actual name was fucking. That was so stupid. Dark Knight Rises is a shitty movie. Watch that movie again and you'll realize
it's
like
not shitty.
That movie fucking sucks.
The worst written of the trilogy. Just leave it as that.
That is not.
Nolan was forced to make that movie.
Yeah. Bane's like, I'm the villain. Nobody should trust me.
Get shot.
But here's a message from Commissioner Gordon saying that he did it all, and everybody's like, oh my god, Gordon did it all.
As much as the suit looks CGI, I like the suit.
The Flash suit?
Yes. The only thing I had a problem with it was the helmet. It looked a little too bulky.
Yeah. What'd you think of the Supergirl suit? Because I remember I saw a set photo of it like a year ago, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
You know, I didn't like it when I first saw, like you said, set photos, but in the movie, the way like her stance was, like the way it looked good. It looked better. Yeah. So it looked better in action, I guess.
Yeah. The actress, I think she really did a good job. Like you could tell, like obviously it's not showing her full potential, but like I could tell watching it, like she's got it.
She has like 12, maybe 15 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, she has less screen time than Michael Keaton.
It's mostly just yelling and action. She doesn't have much to like do with.
It was kind of funny how she's like been tortured for like God knows how long, but then like out of nowhere she sees Zod kill this army guy and she's like, you know what? I guess humans aren't that bad. Let's help him. Fuck. All right.
So are you glad you saw this instead of just a straight up Flashpoint live action movie?
What do you mean?
So like, would you? Because they did the Flashpoint storyline in a way, but not full like.
Yeah,
exact.
They did all the beats just like slightly different.
Like, would you have liked to seen like, fucking, the guy who played Ben Affleck's dad in BVS to be Thomas Wayne? Yeah. And to have like Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot in the Atlantean Amazon
that would have been
War.
Cool. And Skinny Superman.
Cyborg and Skinny like.
Oh yeah, Cyborg and all those kids come together to be Shazam. Yeah.
Do you think you would and actually get Reverse Flash? Would you have liked to seen that live action movie instead of this one?
You know, I know a lot of people don't feel this way, but I personally don't really like it when comic book movies just straight. Yeah, like I remember when they said like before Dark Phoenix came out, they're like, we're gonna do the Dark Phoenix story again, but this time we're gonna do it right. And I just remember thinking to myself like, why don't you just do something new? Like, why don't you just like do a new story? You know?
They still didn't do it right.
Like if I wanted, no, God no, no. But like, I just remember thinking like, why don't you, like you can do like Phoenix turning evil, but just do it fucking like differently. Like, why don't you like, if I wanted that story, I would just read the comic or you know. But I mean, it's Flashpoint's a really good story, and I have no issue with that being the basis for a Flash movie. But I don't mind that they changed a lot because we already have an animated Flashpoint movie, and I like that movie a lot. And that movie follows the comics a lot closer, so I didn't mind that this movie was like its own thing. You know, it is weird that the Flashpoint, like, if they want to make more Flash movies, it is a little weird that Flashpoint is the first one.
Yes, they started off with this one.
It's like if the first Spider-Man movie had the symbiote in it. You know, it would just be like, for the first one, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, they should have started off the villain like Gorilla Grodd or like Captain Cold or like some other speedster or Reverse Flash or something, you know?
Yeah. Who was the villain of this movie, really?
Barry himself.
I guess so. Yeah. So, I guess in conclusion, wrapping things up here, this is I don't know if this is a good movie, but like, I had fun. I had a lot of fun. I think...
If you had to rank this with the other DCU movies, where would you put it?
Oh, shit.
Like, what's your top 3 DCU movies right now?
Well, number 1 is the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad.
James Gunn one?
Yeah, that's number 1. That's the best one. And then... What are even the fucking... Let me get my fucking... Oh, I can't. I'm using my phone as a fucking... What are even... Yeah, what are even the fucking DCU movies? Yeah, I hate most of them, so, like, I don't like a lot. Listen, I'm, like, a huge DC fan. You know, sometimes when DC comes out with something really good, I think to myself, like, man, fuck Marvel. Like, DC's the shit. But then they'll come out with something like Black Adam, and I'll be like, no, God, actually...
Damn it.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Marvel's doing fine. Oh, man. I think I like this more than the first Wonder Woman.
Okay, so we got Man of Steel.
Dog shit.
BVS.
Dog shit.
Suicide Squad.
Absolute fucking trash.
Wonder Woman.
That was pretty good.
Joss Whedon's Justice League.
Not great.
Aquaman.
Dumb.
Shazam.
That one's good.
Birds of Prey.
I liked Birds of Prey. Did you like Birds of Prey?
I did for what it was.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Wonder Woman 1984.
That movie was... that movie ruined my Christmas.
Snyder Cut.
Dumb bullshit.
The Suicide Squad.
Now that's a movie.
Black Adam.
Dog shit.
And then Shazam too.
So I'm realizing I only like 4 of these movies. Yeah, this is probably like the second best.
Mine would probably be Man of Steel, The Suicide Squad, Snyder Cut, the first Shazam, and then this movie, The Flash. I put this over Aquaman and Birds of Prey.
I think I would do...
And then everything else is like...
I think my favorite is The Suicide Squad. Listen, I've said this before. I've said this many times. I've said this in these videos. I've said these in my real life. I have shitty taste in movies. I have dog shit taste. And so I'll just say my number 1 is The Suicide Squad, which I think, you know, people can agree with that. I think my number 2 is honestly Birds of Prey, honestly. I would rather watch Birds of Prey than like a lot of the other... Well, maybe Shazam. I like Shazam a lot. The first Shazam. Mm-hmm. So I would say The Suicide Squad, Shazam... And then probably The Flash, and then Birds of Prey. I think that's a good top 4. And then I guess the first Wonder Woman. And then the rest of them I don't give a fuck about.
Fuck, I forgot about the first one.
Yeah, I don't like any of the other ones. Like, I love DC. I've always loved DC. So I hope this James Gunn DC universe can pump out some really great stuff. Like, you know, I'm happy we're finally getting another... I mean, I'm happy...
Fresh start.
Yeah, I'm happy we're getting a Supergirl movie because I love Supergirl. She's always been one of my favorites, even though I never really liked that show that came out. But and then I also don't like that first movie. But Supergirl was the character I played a lot of in Injustice 2, so that's probably the only reason I like her, actually, because she was really good. But anyways,
just make her blonde.
Yes. Well, you know what? I actually thought she looked. I kind of liked the look she had.
See,
in this movie.
I like her look because I feel like she resembled a lot to like Henry Cavill look.
Yeah.
Like I could see that. They have quite. Yeah. Is she supposed to be older in this version though?
Yeah, Supergirl's always older.
But like, she doesn't seem older than like Henry Cavill would be.
No, I guess you're. Well, maybe Henry Cavill in the first Man of Steel. Because that movie. Well, you know what? You're probably right. She looks like 23. You know.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
She looks like Barry's age. Which I don't know how fucking old Ezra Miller is now.
I think he's like 28 because he says like. Because he's been out of college for a long time, so he's probably like late 20s. So yeah, I guess that's true. Fuck.
Terrorizing the world.
Oh shit. The real life Reverse Flash.
I was telling Brandon, I was like, damn, bro, it's like the other Barry's playing like the terrorized version of him.
There's a scene in this movie where Ezra Miller says, "I could drug you," and that just made me uncomfortable. I was like, oh, you didn't think about cutting this out?
Talk about method acting, bro.
Yeah, and then there's another scene where he's like, this is probably really mentally scarring for you, but we promise we have mental health professionals and all this shit, but I know they don't work. And I'm like, you had Ezra Miller say this shit? Come on, let's just stop.
All his personal, stuff aside, he did do a good job. Grant Gustin is still my Flash, but he did do a good job.
Speak for yourself.
He had this is the most he had to work with to shine, to show off his acting chops. Because I'm not even thinking like the Fantastic Beasts ones, he doesn't do much.
It's fun. This is Ezra Miller's second good movie, because Ezra Miller's never been in Ezra Miller is in all those shitty DC movies besides this one, and then Ezra Miller's in all those shitty Fantastic Beasts movies. The only other good movie Ezra Miller's been in is Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Exactly.
This is Ezra Miller's second good movie.
And he's not even in the lead in that one. Like,
No.
This is his show. He's the lead, especially since he plays 2 of 1 character.
If Ezra Miller wasn't such a crazy fucking psycho in real life,
He'd probably get more roles.
yeah, everybody would look at this movie and be like,
He's a good actor.
This is a star.
Mhm.
We have a movie star on our
Yeah.
hands,
Especially for more like comedic roles.
Yeah, I feel like if Ezra Miller got his act together, this could be to Ezra Miller what Spider-Man was to Tom Holland,
I don't know if that'll happen because anyone wants to deal with that, but I could see why Warner Brothers wanted to hold on to this movie.
Yeah, and I can see why Warner Brothers likes Ezra Miller as Flash.
Mhm.
Don't know if they'll keep Ezra Miller because, but
A lot of people got fucked over by DC.
yeah.
Look at The Rock. He went back to Fast and Furious.
Look at Ray Fisher. Have you seen Ray Fisher in a movie since then? Have you seen Henry Cavill in a movie since then, besides Mission Impossible, where he did the...
That and he's quitting The Witcher.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I never watched that show, but now I'm definitely not going to watch that show.
Yeah, but basically everyone that Snyder handpicked got fucked over.
Yeah.
Like Gal Gadot.
You don't think they'll keep her?
Honestly, if James Gunn handpicks who he wants to take over, which I feel like he should just freshly start everything, it's going to be... Well, for one, he confirmed Viola Davis for Waller.
Yeah. And
then
Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle. But then 2 other characters, the only ones I can see him bringing over is John Cena for Peacemaker and Margot Robbie for Harley Quinn. Those are the only... Everyone else get recast.
Yeah. It's
I see him bringing more of Marvel's actors to his side, especially the ones who work with Guardians.
And that is a neat idea.
Chris Pratt for Booster Gold or Green Lantern, calling it right now.
Ooh, that would not be bad.
I can see him playing the Guy Gardner or Hal Jordan.
I was gonna say I could see him more as a Guy Gardner than Hal Jordan. Yeah. Well, in conclusion, The Flash is a solid film. It's not. I don't think like you said. I agree. I don't think it's a must see. I don't think it's something you need to see in a theater. You could watch it at home and still have a good time.
You can wait for HBO Max.
Yes.
Honestly.
But that being said, I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would. I got to be honest with you. I wasn't excited for the shit at all. I really wasn't. Everybody around me. I remember when he saw the trailer, he told me, he's like, dude, that trailer looked pretty good. And I didn't have the heart to say, I think it looked kind of fucking
shit.
Yeah, I thought it looked like shit. But I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, I had fun. I like this movie. Sometimes I just, for what it is, that's a good way to put it. It does, for what it is, I think it does a really good job. I don't, this movie isn't trying to be something like The Batman, where it's trying to be a great film. I'm not going to judge it on the same level as that. I'm going to judge this as a DC movie, and as a DC movie, I was satisfied. That's a good way to put it. My bad.
No, it's alright.
Okay, so final ratings, I'd give it a solid 6, close to a 7.
6.5.
Yeah.
For those who watch Jeremy Johns, this will be a good time, no alcohol required.
Good time, no alcohol required. I've never even drank alcohol, so I wouldn't know if this movie's better drunk. So
It's a fun watch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. I don't know what the next review is. I guess that Jennifer Lawrence comedy or Elemental, whatever I feel like. If you want to see Joseph back, which you do, because he's a great dude.
Not for Elemental.
Hey, Joseph, you...
Maybe for Oppenheimer or some shit like that.
Oh, yeah, Oppenheimer. Oh, shit. Or Barbie. Who knows? All right, so I'll see y'all later. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the review for whatever I watch next.